I came across the fact, so this is 1994, nobody has heard of the internet. Very, very few people. It was used at that time mostly by scientists and physicists and things like that. We used it a little bit at D.E. Shaw for some things. And I came across the fact that the web, World Wide Web, was growing at something like 2,300% a year. This is in 1994, and anything growing that fast is, even if its baseline usage today is tiny, it's growing so fast, it's gonna be big. And so I looked at that and I was like, there's gotta be, I should come up with a business idea and that get, on the internet and then let the internet grow around this and we can keep working on it. And so I made a list of products that I might sell online and I started force ranking them. And I picked books because books is super unusual in one respect, which is that there are more book items in the book category than there are items in any other category. There are 3 million different books active and in print around the world at any given time. So my founding idea of Amazon was to build universal selection of books. For me, again, this is one of those things where I focus on and ask our teams to focus on what we can control. And I expect, whether it's the current US administration or any other government agency anywhere in the world, Amazon is now a large corporation, and I expect us to be scrutinized. We should be scrutinized. I think all large institutions should be scrutinized and examined. It's reasonable. And one thing to note about us is that we have gotten big in absolute terms only very recently. So we've always been growing fast in percentage terms, but in 2010, just 8 years ago, we had 30,000 employees. So in the last 8 years, we've gone from 30,000 employees to 560,000 employees. So for us, it's kind of, in my mind, I'm still delivering the packages to the post office myself. You see what I'm saying? I still have all the memories of hoping that one day we could afford a forklift. And so obviously that's my intellectual brain knows that's just not the case anymore. I don't know that I have seen perceptible changes of any great magnitude. What I would actually say is that I notice there's certain things that seem to me to be the same, and I love those things. One of the things I notice every time I come here is that there is so much energy here, and dynamism, and color. The word I would use for it is the whole place seems so full of life. And everywhere you go, every single thing you do, we have a very small planet, and humanity has now gotten very big. Anybody who doesn't believe in climate change, 20 years ago, maybe you could excuse people for wondering if it's real. Today, there's so much evidence. The people who don't believe in the problem of climate change are really fooling themselves. And so the job of Blue Origin, our job, we want to build reusable space vehicles that lower the cost of access to space to such a sufficient degree that the next generation of kids can start space companies in their dorm room. We know for a fact that if a kid falls behind, it's really, really hard to catch up. And if you can give somebody a leg up when they're 2, 3, or 4 years old, by the time they get to kindergarten or first grade, they're much less likely to fall behind. It can still happen, but you've really improved their odds. The money spent there is going to pay gigantic dividends for decades. And everything I've ever done has started small. Amazon started with a couple of people, and Blue Origin started with 5 people, and the budget at Blue Origin was very, very small. Now the budget at Blue Origin approaches $1 billion a year. Today it's 500,000 people, but it's hard to remember for you guys, but for me it's like yesterday I was driving the packages to the post office myself, hoping one day we could afford a forklift. And so for me, I've seen small things get big, and it's part of this day one mentality. I like treating things as if they're small. Amazon, even though it is a large company, I want it to have the heart and spirit of a small one.